All right, this is Church Tech Helps. I've subtitled the session Windows into Ministry. Let me tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do. I'm a church planter. The Lord called me into church planting, gave me a burden for church planting far back as 2000. Then that bred it grew in our hearts after we were married, so in 2001. And by 2005, I knew confidently that's what the Lord wanted me to do. And in a changing age of technology, I will say this. I am not a techie. Some of you look at me and say, you're a liar. No, seriously. Anything that I put out, it's because I have been self-taught on how to do things. So, for example, in 2005, when we decided to plant a church and then hit the road in 2006 for deputation, I chose to learn how to build a website. I chose how to do my own social media and publication and printing. And so everything that I'm sharing with you, I don't have a degree. Perhaps the professionals would look at my things and think that it's not very valuable. I think that at least they're pretty once in a while. So I want to speak to you from the aspect of I'm not a professional. I don't even play one on TV. But what I want to do is I do want to share that what I have learned, you can do too. If I can learn it, so can you. I'm not a graphics or an artist guy. I cannot draw a single thing. I can type. Of course, if I have spell check, but you can do what you need. Let me just say this. When Mark asked me to do this session, originally he entitled it Tech Steps to Building a Megachurch. And I said, no, I can't do that, Mark. So we amended that back down to Windows into Ministry. So let me ask you this. What is the purpose of you using technology in your ministry? I came up with 3 basic ideas. Number 1 is I want to be relevant. Because everybody else is doing it, therefore I must do it. Number 2, I can use it for discipleship. Number 3, I can use it for outreach. Outreach. I am going to land mostly on number 3, a little bit on number 2. I minister on the seacoast of New Hampshire. My church is not full of technologically advanced people. So therefore, we don't use a lot of technology for discipleship, but I could see in a place that has more population that is plugged in technologically, that could be something very advantageous. But I tend to fall on technology for me and our ministry is for the purpose of outreach. And I'll explain this. Church technology is a window for visitors to peer into your ministry to determine who you are. If you go to visit a church, what is the first thing you do now in 2020? You look at the website. Why do you look at the website? You want to know who they are. You want to know what they do. You want to know what they believe. And so when someone comes to your Facebook page, your Twitter account, I know a lot of you have those for church, right? LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it may be, it is a window that people are peering into your ministry. So here's the question. What are people seeing when they come to these windows? I want you to seriously consider. When someone comes to my church website, what is the message that I am telling them? The last time it was updated was 1942. It's illegible. There's bad grammar. There's spelling mistakes. Is this the excellence of the glory of God? Certainly not. So what are you communicating? I put together a few things that you might be communicating. a cemetery. Perhaps your website is telling people that you are a dead church. Did you ever consider that? It could be. What if you are First Baptist Circus? Oh, I'm going to show you some websites in a little bit, huh? It's fantastic. Now, I'm from New England, the home of the frozen chosen. But your website can tell someone that you are a frozen and cold church. Or it could tell them that you're a prison camp. No, please keep lights on, Lawrence. Thank you. Maybe you are more towards the hostile side of things. Maybe you're a screamer, a judge. Maybe you're a fighting fundy. Or maybe you're a political activist. And by the way, that's not edited. That's actually him speaking in a church. What do you want to communicate? That is what we're talking about. Your website, your Facebook page, whatever forms of social media you may have, your audio ministry, your video ministry. They are windows for people to look into to get a feeling of who you are, what you're about, and what is in it for them. I know that sounds secular, because people should always go to a church with the right intentions. Well, frankly, most of the people that walk into our church are sinners in need of a Savior, and at least we can represent him well with a proper window. So I want you to seriously take an inventory of how people view your church. I have no problems coming to your website and saying, Tim, what do you see? Just don't do that all at once. I can't do 40 today, okay? What are some ideas here? Where can we grow? Please don't be mad at me if I'm critical. I want to help you so that people have a window so that they can see Christ, not me, not technology. But we need to point to the Master. So, first thing I want to talk about, websites. How many of you have a church website? Okay. Sort of. I've seen yours, Ralph. Okay. How many of you are satisfied with your church website? Sean, put that hand up, pal. Oh, there you go. Good. How many would say that I need improvement on my church website? Okay. How many say I have no clue? Well, thank you for your honesty. Howard will work on that afterwards, though. I appreciate that. Websites are difficult. Prior to the last 10 years, in order to build a website, you needed a lot of knowledge. You had to have a knowledge of a foreign language, code. Well, the world has now changed. The world has now made it very easy for anyone to build a website without coding. It's literally just drop and plug into templates. So I want to encourage you, this is not a difficult tool anymore. It may still stretch you, but it's not overly difficult. But let me just ask you, what is a website? A website is a secular marketing tool advertising a service, product, or information. There is no way around it. It is a secular marketing tool. If you have a website, you are marketing your church. Okay? Is that a bad thing? We just need to be careful, right? Our whole purpose is for outreach. That's my philosophy of ministry. But that's what a website does. It volunteers information for someone who is seeking. The church website is probably the biggest advertising window that you will have to show what you are all about. It is common and normal for people to log in to a website to figure out where they will go to church if they're seeking. So I want to ask you, if you are honest, what are you telling people about yourself with your current website? What are you telling people? Have you ever considered that before? One of the things that I see quite often when we discuss church websites is that the focal point is not necessarily where it should be. Let me demonstrate it this way. The church is a, what is it, Dan? Body. Same idea, people, and not a building. I've learned this the hard way in the last 10 years because our church does not have a building. We rent an American Legion Post 35 of Hampton, New Hampshire. When most people hear you're in an American Legion, they think of paneling, they think of cigarette smoke, and a dark dungeon. We are probably the only post in America that is an alcohol smoke-free post. It is God's gift to us. But we still battle this idea that I can go into the 300, and I think it's almost 80, maybe about 380-year-old Congregational Church, the first church in New Hampshire. Beautiful building. I can go down to the Methodist Church, which is massive. I can go down to the Baptist Church, which is beautiful, or I can go to the American Legion. Well, the average New Englander person's going to want to be inside of a beautiful building. But we need to educate that the church is a people. So when you come to a church website, what is the first thing you typically see on a church website? A building. The church is not a building. What is it that a seeker, and I don't want to sound like I'm seeker sensitive, that's not my thought here. But what is it that the seeker is looking for when they come to your website for information? Are they looking for a building or are they looking for a person? I believe they're looking for a person. And so if we present our ministries as if we are a church like a people and not a building, you're going to come across different than 99% of the websites that they visit, because the church is God's people. If our Legion Hall burned down tomorrow, God forbid, would we still exist as a church? Dale? Amen. Amen. We go worship in the park like we do once a summer anyway. Might be a little bit chilly this time of year, but that's fine. We're the people. Tell people through your website that you are real, living, joyful, burdened, laughing, crying, sinners saved by grace. They want to see authentic people. Show them who you are. So, what is the goal of your church website? Why do you have a church website? And if you say, I don't know, then you are kind of in a limbo. Because you realize that if you don't have a goal, you're not going to hit anything. So, let's talk about finances. I don't believe there are too many mega churches in here except for Demers new church. He's got a beautiful building and all that's going on over there in New York. We work on tight budgets, right? So if we're going to go ahead and spend X amount of dollars a monthly basis on a website, shouldn't there be a way to evaluate whether this ministry is worth the investment? So, my website right now is, for our church, costing us $17 a month. I need to know how many visitors are coming to that website. I need to know how well it's doing in search engine searches. I need to know how many people came into our ministry and visited us because of our website. Now, we are bordering Hampton Beach. We don't get a lot of web traffic this time of year. But I can look at my numbers consistently and justify, is this worth spending? And then I can come back and say, listen, we had these people visit, we've had this many hits. I got a note from Google last week. We had almost 5,000 search engine hits for our church last week. All because of we are trying to have goals that we hit. And this is what I'm trying to teach you to do. So, what I'm saying is, a website is a waste of money and labor if it cannot achieve the goal. And so is a kicker in the NFL, right? Sorry, crowd. I have a few friends that are Green Bay Packer fans, but tough season. If you're hired to kick field goals and you can't pull it off in crunch time, what are you worth? Nothing. If your website is not achieving the goals that you have set out for it, is it worth the $20 a month that you're spending on it? We have to be good stewards. If it's out there doing nothing, then you don't know. Let me stop. I want to make sure this session is about you. Any questions thus far?
Did you set the right goals?
I think there's no such thing as the right goals. The goals need to be determined by the pastor and the ministry putting this together. And what my goal in Hampton may be, may not be the goal of somewhere else. That's more privatized. So, for example, I don't have any public conferences that I run. So, my brother Lawrence back there runs Striving for the Mastery. How many people are coming to that website and using it for Striving for the Mastery? I don't have that goal. Lawrence has that goal. It's information laden. And so the nice thing would be is to measure the traffic or the value of that web page in Lawrence's ministry. Well, mine, I don't necessarily try to get there. All my website is the street sign pointing to a building saying this is where a church is going. That's my goal. And if I have people come in saying, I came here because of your church website, that's my goal. So right now my goal is working, but it's also winter and sometimes it doesn't work. Okay? Okay?
Should everybody who has a website be able to get those statistics somehow?
Yeah. Yeah, it should be through your host.
Through the post?
Yeah. Who's your web host?
And the domain registry.
Yeah, your domain registry could be with your web host.
Okay.
Who do you pay every month?
We get it for free from my nephew, the hosting.
Okay.
But he must have some kind of statistics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He has to get hits from IP addresses. Yep. And you can seek out which pages people are going to. Yeah. There has to be a way to evaluate that. Yep. Yeah. Oh.
Do you use search engine optimization?
Yeah.
If you do, do you use
Okay. Let me come into this idea. So I have used different platforms and different programs to build websites. And in the olden days, it was iWeb, which was a cool tool that came with a Mac, and it was free, so that's what I used. So I don't use that anymore. It's a dead program. So I was seeking something to switch to, and I went to a web host. buildachurchwebsite.com. And they are expensive. They're $50 a month to maintain your website. Very clean, very beautiful. But in order for me to update the website, I would have to email them and ask for changes. I did not have direct access. So then what I did was I said, I want to cut my budget and go down. And so I went to IX Web Hosting, one of the worst decisions that I've ever made. It was absolutely horrible. Very bad customer service, crashed constantly, was not easy to work with. So finally I migrated everything to Wix.com. And that's where I am today. And that's what I would say is, if you can put together a Word doc and a PowerPoint presentation, you can put together a website on Wix.com. Brian, is it that easy?
Oh, yeah, we use Wix, before, when the church I pastored in, the person who hosted it was a member of the church, was WordPress,
Yep.
horrific.
Yeah. WordPress is old technology.
It's just awesome. I mean, cut, paste, they have so much stuff, it's
Yeah.
just-
Hundreds of templates already done for you. You just have to plug in what you want. WIX. Lawrence, I think your daughter uses Weebly. You know, it's not as technologically advanced as Wix, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. Weebly is clean, it's well done, it's appropriate. It doesn't need to be thrilling. It just needs to do its job. So, Oliver, what was back to your question? Okay, so Wix does it. So I'll go into the search engine optimization, and they have questions and answers. And I'll go through, and they'll run a check on my website to see if my answers are right, and then it will give me flags where they're wrong, and I'll come back and fix every one of those flags. So they give you, depending on how big your website is, they'll give you a list of 25 things. And I just picked that number out of the air because it depends on your site size. And it will check mark all the way down, and if something flags, I'll go in and fix it. Yeah, totally with the package. And I started Wix at, I think it was $10 a month. We're up to 17 now. But to me, that's pretty cheap. Yeah. Yeah. So why would I say that you need two websites? Well, one? I mean, I didn't even know I needed one. What are you talking about? Two? Daniel. Okay. In my area, it is estimated that 80% of the people that visit our area use mobile technology to visit websites. 80%. I don't think that number is going to go down. And so you need to have a desktop website, a traditional website, but you also need something that will convert to a quick and easy mobile phone website that will load, instead of big pictures, it will cut them down. The reason I use Wix is because, number one, it's free, and number two, they do it for you. It is literally, I have a button, desktop, mobile. I click the mobile once I'm done with my desktop. It needs some editing. It doesn't space the right way. It doesn't size the right way. I organize, I put it together, and I am done in just a few minutes. I've built two websites in the time it took me to build one. Mobile optimization is absolute necessity if you're going to put together a church website. I can't speak of statistics outside of our area, but I'm going to guess that most likely that 80% is not going to budge too much on the downward side. It will be something that's very, very consistent mobile technology, okay? What I want to do is I want to show you some no-nos and some good things. I didn't pick websites of anyone that I know. I searched the internet for church websites that show some good characteristics, but on the bad ones, I don't know who they are. I erased the URL, so I don't know what the address is, and I blocked out any names so that we don't offend anybody. Now, with that said, if the sites that I use as illustrations happen to be one of your websites, I deeply apologize. And to make it up to you, I will build you a new one for free, okay? All right. Okay.
Oh, no.
This website is live at this moment. Again, there's no address. First thing you notice that the colors are a little bit off. And by the way, this is a fundamental Baptist church. Why would we not use a rainbow in this modern age? Maybe you should talk to Scott Van Dyne, because on Sunday he's teaching about the Rainbow Covenant. But I don't think this is your website, Scott. So, this is so bad. Number one, look at the navigation bar, which is in the middle of the page in a blue small font. Notice how it bleeds over the blue color. You don't even know what the words are there. Now, what's hilarious is, why in the world is there a cat in the bottom right-hand corner? Do you see that? There's a cat. There's an advertisement section. Second Life. That's an online virtual reality game that it's probably active, but how many years ago was that cool? 10, 20 years ago? Who knows? This thing is so bad that it says that it's best used on Internet Explorer. Who uses that? So if I'm coming to this website, number one, I assume this is about homosexuality. And I guarantee you whoever put this up there isn't thinking that at all. But that's what it says. It's a dead website in that it's horrendously put together. There's advertisements from so many years ago. Here's another one. Hard to see, but that's the whole point. What church is this? Actually, if you look down in the bottom, there is a sign in the picture that says Bible Baptist Church. There is no other information. There's no services on your first thought. But they got PayPal. Uh-huh. Yeah. Let me ask you this. A person logs on to your website. How much time do you have to make a good impression so that they want to stay on your website? It's 8 seconds. Within 8 seconds, that person has made up their mind whether they want to stay on your website or move on. And if you can't find anything here, I'm gone. This is not a horrendous idea, but the problem is it's a framed website. In that, on the very far right-hand side, do you see the nav? That is framed, which means that stays still, and where the church name is a dark frame that goes all the way across, and then the white scrolls down. This was great back in the 1990s, but this is not up to date, and it's not up to par. Besides the church name, I cannot find necessarily a way to visit the church. There's no address. They have a contact us button. There's no service schedule. It's just kind of out there. And then they have missionary pictures coming up on the other side. This one was interesting. Red blood background. And on the computer, it's much more graphic. It looks like it's flowing or dripping. Okay? I've blocked out 2 pictures, and they're both of the pastor. The pastor's name, in addition to the 2 pictures, is mentioned 9 times on the front page of the website. I wonder if they're going to rename it to Pastor's Name Baptist Church. I think it's important to have a spot to introduce your pastor. That's very appropriate. But to have his name 9 times and have his face twice as soon as you log on, that's a problem. Number 2, the church is a people and not a building. This is a building-oriented website. Maybe they didn't think of that. Maybe that building is absolutely gorgeous and picturesque. I get it. But are we selling the building? Or are we trying to get people to meet people? That's my philosophy. All right, let me turn to some positivity here. When I log onto this website, do I know the church name? Oh, do I know who that is? Immediately, I know exactly where the church is, don't I? It's First Baptist Church, Harrington, Maine. I'm not guessing the church name. I know that I can come and visit. If you look in the nav, you're going to see the homepage. Immediately, I can come and visit the church, and I have all my information I need to know with my first visit. I have gospel. I can find out what the good news is. I can know the service times. It's sitting right there. I have a snippet about the pastor and his family. What do they believe? How do we contact them? The reason that I want to show you this website is I assisted in this, but it's Selena Cowland that did this design. This is her. She did an absolutely fantastic job getting the colors to represent Maine. This is her community, and she nailed it. Selena is not a techie. She worked hard, and she deserves praise for her hard work. This is Wix. She plugged it in, and she did a fantastic job. I really appreciate her. Let me show you another website. This is Heritage Baptist Church in Dover. A good friend of mine, Pastor Tegan Jose. His wife did this website. This is a Wix website, very clean, very natural, not difficult. My whole point is that you can build your own website. It is possible. You may need some help and guidance. Give me a call. That is fine. But you can do it. If these pastors' wives can do it, you can do it too. They did a tremendous job. I love Crystal's website. And if you go to their site and start scrolling down, yes, you see pictures here. The next scroll down, you're going to start to see the people. Her people of her church are all over the front page of her website. It is a wonderful job done. Do they have their church building? Yes, that's this next picture down. That's fine because it's balanced with the people. The ministry is about the people. And so I like what she did. So one of my theories is that when a person logs on to your website, you have 8 seconds to get their attention. Whatever picture you have in their face in the first 8 seconds is absolutely imperative that it be right. It has to strike an emotional response that is positive. So I say that, but I'm not emphasizing to make someone weep over my website, okay? We've already seen weeping over some websites. But I want someone to call, from my community to come to my website and go, oh, I know where that is. Oh, that's pretty. Hey, I was down there last week. We are New England Shores Baptist Church. What do you think most of my main page pictures are? The beach. Because that's where our community is. Customize your website so that it is attractive for your community, so it relates to them, that you are part of them. Okay? I want to talk about this real quick. A domain name. Domain name. A domain name is an internet address, or let's say this, it is a street address. It is not, and I repeat, it is not the church name. If you ask, Tim, I want to come visit New England Shores Baptist Church, can I please have directions? I'm going to say yes. Go ahead and go to New England Shores Baptist Church. Is that good enough? I would say go to 69 High Street, Hampton, New Hampshire, 03842, because that is the street address in which we meet. We do not meet at New England Shores Baptist Church. The church is the people. The domain name is not the name of your church. So let me give you some rules. Now, the domain name is the .com, the .org, the .church, the .net, whatever you choose to use. That is what I'm talking about, your domain name. Okay? First of all, graphics. Okay. Keep it short as possible. Have you ever tried to type in a long name into your cell phone? Technology's great, but fat thumbs and small screens are not. More often than not, you misspell. if you're typing something in. But if you keep it as short as possible, it's very easy to navigate and to find. Number 2, keep it memorable. Keep it memorable. It would be nice if your church website could roll off your tongue and someone remember it with the mentioning one time. Keep it memorable. Number 3, make it easy to spell. Make it easy to spell. I use this example in a little bit. Timbuktu Baptist Church. Anybody know how to spell Timbuktu? Sometimes you will have odd town names. Does everybody in your town know how to spell the town name? Not always. You have to be careful. Number 4. Yeah, Kangamangas Baptist Church. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? Yeah. .org. No Christianese. What do I mean by Christianese? A language that you and I speak that the world does not understand. If our website is based on outreach, what good is it to speak Christianese and have somebody scratch their heads and come to their website and say, I have no idea what that means? Mark?
Maybe it's a silly question. Why not have the church name in the domain? Why not have, like ours is SwissroBaptistChurch.org. I know that's long, but if somebody's looking for Swiss Road Baptist Church, that's what they're going to type into their
Okay. So,
what's wrong with that?
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's not efficient. So, here I am, unsaved guy in your church, in your community. I meet you for the first time. I want you to visit me at my website, thischurchonline.com. Me, stranger, walk away. What was that fellow's name? Do you think I can remember that church name for anything? Not a chance. I can't even remember your name. You know your church name. Your people know your church name. But if you're outreaching into the community, they don't know and they don't understand your church name. They are looking for something simple and easy to come back to your memory. So if I can't remember your first name, I'm not going to remember your church name. So it's not wrong to have it as your church name, but I'm not going to remember your website. I'm saved and I can't remember your church website. So I don't expect someone that's not saved to. Okay? Thank you. Avoid acronyms. Avoid abbreviations. An acronym is a great thing if you know what it means, but usually you're the only one that knows what it means. Okay? Try to make it local. Local. And I'll demonstrate these in a moment. .com is preferable. Because what is the first thing that somebody looks up? .com. I know that .org is .organization, .com is .commercial, but those lines are now gone, okay? .com is perfectly acceptable. If you can grab .com, use .com. So, here's mistakes. NewEnglandShoresBaptistChurch.com. Man, I don't mind typing New England Shores Baptist Church. That's our church name. But putting it in my cell phone, that is a pain. It's horrible. Way too long. So then I got this idea. I will abbreviate it, NESBC. Except for that wasn't open because it was New England St. Bernard Club. No joke. So then we're in New Hampshire, so NESBCNH.com. Hey, there we go, right? So then I say to people, yeah, come on by, visit me at my website, NESBCNH.com. What? N as in Nancy, E as in Egbert, S as in Sap. It's ridiculous. They can't understand it. First Baptist Church of Timbuktu. But wait, here's what we'll do. We'll make it shorter. So we will say FBC Timbuktu. Because everybody in the world knows that FBC is Faith Baptist, or is that First Baptist, or is that Fallen Baptist? I don't know. Or FBC Timbuktu is taken, so I'm going to be this. I'm going to Timbuktu FBC. Well, when you're telling someone your web address, and they say, what's your website? You realize you got to remember it first? And you think that the person in your pew is going to invite their friends, they can remember FBC Timbuktu, or was it Timbuktu FBC, or was it Timbuktu-FBC? They're not going to remember that. My point is, you want something your people and visitors will remember, like that. So here's some suggestions. So there is no Faith Baptist Church of Hampton, New Hampshire. I just put that as an example. faithhampton.com. I don't know if that's available, but that's an illustration. hamptonfaith.com. hamptonchurch.com. You can go ahead and look that one up. I kind of like that one. We were nesbcnh.com, but then we migrated to hamptonchurch.com. And so when someone in the community says, what's your website? hamptonchurch.com. What? No, really, just hamptonchurch.com. And if you Google Hampton and Church, guess what comes up?
Number 2, I just did it.
Not bad. And number 1, they got money, and we don't have money. Churchhampton.com. You get the idea? Make it simplistic. Make it memorable. Make it so it works, so people can remember it.
And the thought, make it so that they're looking for somebody else and they might find you instead.
Absolutely. So what was that church on the seacoast? Well, I know they were in Hampton. Oh, I don't know. Let's look up Hampton Church. Ding. That's it. I mean, and so, there's plenty of other options. It's just simple. So we have missionaries, Nick and Lindsay Stelzig, their church planting in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And we wanted lawrencechurch.com, not available. So we just switched it to churchlawrence.com. Is it pretty? No. But it's not the name of the church anyway. So if you type in lawrencechurch.com, where are you coming? Community Baptist Church of Lawrence. But if I'm in town, I can just say, yeah, we're just that church in Lawrence, lawrencechurch.com. Just go ahead and Google Lawrence and church. We'll be there. It's that simple. It's one of my pet peeves. Sorry, Mark. I love you, but questions about that? I've got 6 minutes left, and go ahead, Tom.
One of the things we did with ours, completely wrong with that, is, came to the meeting with people that were working on it with me, we presented it, everybody was great, we got that website, never gave a thought, even a bit of a thought about the domain name.
Yeah.
So when it came up, well, what do you think? Well, it's gotta have our name, Dresserville Bible Baptist Church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, no, and we couldn't dissuade those who really wanted it.
Yep.
So that's what we had, and you're right, it's not bad typing, but phone.
Oh, and what's the street address that you're at?
6363.
So are you 6363 Baptist Church? No, that's your address to get you to your building. This is the address on the World Wide Web to get you to the web. It's directions. It's not a name. But when you get there, you're going to know exactly who your church is. Okay? Real quick, social media. Social media. How many of you have social media linked to your church website? Okay. So if a website is a piece of property on the web, social media is an open house sign inviting people in. So Brother Scott agrees to build a house for you. You've purchased the property. There's no road, so a road is cut in. He builds this beautiful home. It's absolutely gorgeous. You want to have your friends over to visit. They don't know your address. They don't know where you are. So you go out to the front entrance and you place an open house sign for them to come in. And you invite them in. That's what social media does. The other example is on the real estate market. An open house sign is everybody is invited to come in and see what we have here. That's what social media is, or that's what social media can do for you. But let's make sure we understand that social media is a marketing advertising platform designed to take your money. And you thought they cared about those selfies and pictures of your family. No, it is the largest advertising platform in the world. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's all about money. That's it. So, if you want people to visit your website, I need you to think about your website as literally on a spider web. So here you have your website in your web. And one link goes from your website up to Facebook. What is the purpose of a spider web? To capture something coming through here. You understand that? So then I have a link to YouTube. I have a link to Twitter. I have a link to this. I have a link to that. I'm making a web. So on the web, as people are traveling through the web online, they get caught in between your web. That's the way that it works. And so what social media does is it connects and makes those catch marks that pull people to your website. It's not an overnight process. It's a very long process. It can bring traffic to your web. However, I will tell you on Facebook, to have a successful Facebook account, you need 6 posts a day. We're lucky to get 1 a week. I don't advocate Facebook Facebook pages very much. It's an information source for people who know you're there. That's about it. It can give access or information to attenders and visitors. So here's our Facebook page. We keep it simple. We keep it clean. We put our online sermons there. It hosts all of our online video sermons, and we try to keep it so it's in balance and clean. Let me introduce you to new door-to-door visitation. This is fascinating. This is Instagram. So in the past 10 years, we have knocked on 16,000 doors within the Hampton, New Hampshire area. 16,000. Out of those 16,000 doors, we have had 1 visitor show up. That's discouraging. That's a lot of work. That is not much fruit. And it was just 1 visit. That was it. This is curious. So I started posting graphics online. And I built a following of 1,000 people on Instagram, which is not hard to do. I'm not an Instagram guy. I researched it and learned how to do it. And I developed an idea that said, I have all these local organizations around me that have followers. So there's this restaurant in Hampton that has followers, hundreds of them. So I took my church Facebook page and I followed the hundreds of people at this restaurant. Do you know what happened? Some of them followed me back. Some of them blocked me. Some of them didn't respond. For the ones that followed me back, I then sent a little note saying, hey, thank you for following New England Shores Baptist Church. If there's anything we can do to serve you, please let us know. 3 weeks later, we had our first visitor off Instagram. 16,000 doors, 3 weeks of Instagram. I'm not saying that it always works that way. It's hard to keep up when you're pastoring as well. I just did it as a test. Oh. YouTube. We stream our services directly to YouTube. Streaming technology you've been acquainted with this week. I'll be available afternoon if you want to talk about that a little bit to give you some ideas if that's what you're interested in. Let me just say this, audio sermons. I think in discussions with Timothy that we agree, rest in peace. Please do not pay for audio sermon hosting on the web. I think it is a dying technology. Anybody have their pastor give out cassette tapes of their sermons anymore? Yeah, probably Dan, yeah, I know. Very quickly, streaming live. This is a stream from our church. That's Scott's son, Tyler. He is my music leader, and it's a fun concept. A lot of things you have to think about. If you're going to stream your services, do this first. Develop a philosophy of ministry that guides and directs your streaming. Because if you don't, the tail will wag the dog. We do not put forth iChurch. And our people must understand that our ministry online is not a substitute with worship. And Dale, I'd say we have a pretty good balance there. Our people don't substitute that. But when they're sick, Dale was out with pneumonia last week. Well, he can watch our service online. That's a great tool. We have multiple people that have come into our church and said, I watch your services online. I got a feeling for what your ministry's like. I know what your preaching's like. I want to be here. Probably more people run away than actually come in. But develop a philosophy. If you want to see my philosophy of ministry for our audio video ministry, see me this afternoon. Gentlemen, you must, if you're streaming music, purchase a license to do so. If you don't, you are breaking copyright laws. It will cost you, this year's price is $160 through the company called CCLI. Now, if you are streaming just your sermon, that's fine. You do not need a streaming license. But just be careful that you cut that sermon off prior to the invitation, because not a single note of that piano can go over the internet if that music is copyrighted. Most of it in our new hymnals is copyrighted. Do not put anything out there that is copyrighted without a streaming license. So, check with CCLI, because that's starting to enter in a totally different category as well. That may be a dual report. You don't report your streaming for your hymn singing, but that is a good question, CCLI, for CCLI. Yep.
Are those two separate licenses?
Yes, they are. Yeah. CCLI license gives you access to CCLI. They refuse to sell you the streaming license without the main license.
So how much, so 160 says for both?
Yeah, 160 for both this year. Yep, last year was 149. This year's 160. Yep. I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm a small church, so yep.
So if you already have the CCL license, you just have to.
You just add the stream. Yeah. They can be. There was a bar in Manchester, New Hampshire that was playing copyrighted country music in the bar, and they just got hit with a $10,000 fine. I'm not saying that the Living Hymnal's coming after you for 10 grand and shutting your church down, but I think we have a moral obligation to do things excellently and well. Just because Majesty Music, the Living Hymnal, whatever hymnal you happen to use, will not come after and sue you, doesn't mean you should break the law. Sean? I don't know, when did you drag me out? I don't remember that time. Well, let me hit this route. Equipment ranges from smartphone to cameras. My setup here, that camera you can get in for about $400. It needs to tether to an iPad. But I have a dear friend in Helena, Montana, that they take their cell phone and put it in a stand, and on that smartphone, that is the way they stream their service. And it works perfectly fine. So it can be as little as a cell phone. One other thing I'll say is Facebook and YouTube are free. Facebook wants your videos. It's money for them. YouTube, where Timothy does his. I do both. I stream to Facebook and then I upload to YouTube. You can't do it at the same time. The two at the same time. So this is a free host. If anybody wants to see your past sermons, they go to your Facebook page or YouTube page, and there are miles long of sermons sitting there. Video technology. Ralph?
How do you get rid of the old website?
It will die, or you can, there are two things. You can do a redirect. And so if you have a new website, but you have the old URL out there, you can actually do a submission form to your web host to redirect the old website. So if somebody types it in, it just blinks straight to the new site. In time, that will just die and go away. But I would do a redirect. Daniel?
We also use the same
Yep, yep. You know, Timothy has a different setup than I do, and it's fantastic. He does a great job. The differences between our ministries is he has a building, I don't. So I can't hardwire anything. Anything that I use has to be portable and movable. So that's why it's easy for me to come to Shepherd's Haven. And I have very little equipment that goes away at the end of the day. And I'd be happy to show you this afternoon. I am way over. I'm sorry, Mark. Tom?
And you shared with us about those who want to host websites and are hosting websites. I don't know if there's others in the room that have been looking on church websites to find the fit. And so Lynn and I have been in that category for the past 7 or 8 months. And I visited a handful of churches, looked at a number of church websites, and it's interesting, if I could summarize what we're looking for, it's a glimpse of do we fit? Is this something like our kind of church? And we've listened to probably, I don't know, probably a dozen or so, maybe more messages. Those have been helpful. Yeah, the appearance and those kinds of things. So we found church websites to be very useful.
Yeah.
From a user standpoint.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What kind of the initial budget for equipment and that sort of thing do you need, and what kind of running budget do you need to keep it going?
Let's say you start with an iPhone. And I use that example because the cameras on the iPhone are absolutely amazing now. You would need a battery pack. That'll cost you $20 to $25. You already have the cord. I like to use the mic stand because tripods are easy to trip over, so I use a cast iron weighted mic stand, and I would put a iPhone onto that, so I'd be out for probably about $50 to start. If you're going to Facebook Live, and I should probably just be careful, if you're going to say I'm going to live stream, no, you're not. That's a different company, and that's a very specific term. Live stream is a company. So Facebook Live is what I do, or YouTube, live streaming to YouTube. So most people say live stream, but it's not. That's a specific company service you have to pay for. So if I go that route, Facebook is free. So I can probably get out for about $50 if you already have the cell phone. If not, cameras are not that expensive. We still can record and upload. Right?
Out of those two, I mean, where are people most likely to go, Facebook or YouTube?
So I'm new to YouTube. Timothy has already built an audience on YouTube, so he's going to have a better grasp on who's there. I have a better audience on Facebook. So it's not a which one's better, because